Welcome to the dignitaries and the participants and the keynote speakers. We are welcome to the today's commemoration of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we will commemorate such a thing so that we could the continuity would be there. So that was the reason. Otherwise, the people doesn't know who is Martin Luther King Jr. Of course, why we got the junior, we came to know it later part after the participants are made clear. And here I could see the many of them. Can I give that first chance to Lee Stone, or you want to make your presentation or a speech now? In the key presenters, those who would like to make the presentation first? The key presenters, Sihanya, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. Now, before I could ask the Sihanya, I would like to introduce him who is Sihanya, and here I will share his file so that you could know also, you see them. I believe that you could see the file which I shared on the screen. Yes, he is Professor Ben M. Sihanya, JSG Stanford. He is an advocate also and did the IP and education and constitutional professor, public interest advocate and mentor, University of Nairobi, Kenya Law School. And he is also having the Shenya advocates and the Shenya mentoring also. And his email and mobile number, I put it over there. So now I will request Professor Sihanya to say about his expressions regarding the Dr. Martin Luther King. Karibu sana, Professor Ben M. Sihanya.
Thank you so much, Professor, for that introduction. Is it my understanding that it is how many minutes?
Yes, generally the 7 minutes talk would be there, 3 minutes any discussion. That's why we allotted 10 minutes.
Thank you so much. Participants, I'm pleased to make a contribution on the contribution of and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose birthday we are celebrating. I will focus on I will take a three-pronged approach to that. Number one is that Martin Luther Jr.'s legacy and contribution in the 1950s and 1960s, and how that was related to the struggle for independence and against colonialism in Kenya and Africa. Of course, he was focusing on the race question, and we were also in Kenya and Africa focusing on the race question, and a little later on the question of tribalism. The second issue is, what is the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. in neo-colonial Africa, post-colonial Africa, the decades following the 1960s assassination in 1968? What contribution and legacy did Martin Luther King leave behind? The third and last point for me is the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the 21st century. We are in 2023, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s ideas remain as fresh in terms of constitutional democracy, liberation, freedom, inclusive justice, as they were when he made that speech in 1963 on I Have a Dream. So let me illustrate that a little more, what I've said in terms of the three-pronged typology on the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., MLK. First, we remember that he was born in 1929 and in 1963, and from about 1955, he was deeply involved in racial inclusion, the question of the Negro question at the time. These days we talk about African Americans or Black Americans, African Americans, and there was the question of the colored people. And he realized that there was a lot of injustice in America against them. Just like there are still problems the Floyd problem, and even this week, police have killed an African American. So the issue is that he was very, very concerned about these issues, and he gave that powerful speech, which is quite inspiring. And when I listen to it, even now, I drop tears, internally and externally. So the question of inclusive justice, the question of injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And I could add, injustice at any time is injustice at all times. And he was very emphatic on that. And how was that important to Kenya and Africa? Martin Luther King Jr. worked very closely with John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the then JFK, the then President of America, the RFK, Robert Kennedy, the senator, and who later on would be also be a presidential candidate, AG, and as a presidential candidate who also unfortunately was assassinated when he was running for president. He also worked very closely with Thomas Joseph Odhiambo Mboya, aka Sungura Mjanja, a Kenyan who was also very interested in the liberation of Kenya and Africa from British colonialism. And they had a meeting point on the question of injustice in Africa. Injustice in Kenya was as bad as injustice in the US. The second, that is the first issue. So Martin Luther King Jr. was very, very important to our own struggles in Kenya and Africa. The second is that Martin Luther King Jr. would still resonate in the post-60s. And incidentally, 63 and 68 and 69 are very important years for America and for Kenya. The 63 is the speech year. 63 is also the assassination of JFK. 63 is Kenya's independence, and Mboya's contribution was very clear there. And then 68 is the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. and also of Robert F. Kennedy. The visionaries were assassinated. Most of the visionaries for America and Kenya were assassinated in around 68, 69. So this is and they were very young and very had a very clear idea of inclusive justice, etc., etc. Number two is the question of the post-68 period. And 68 through 2022, we have still seen that injustice is still everywhere, especially in Kenya and Africa. The question of inclusivity, the question of discrimination, seclusion, segregation, and now it is much stronger in Kenya and Africa on tribal lines, which is as bad as it was on racial lines. And in America still, we still have the racial problem in spite of the fact that America had the first African-American president, President Obama. There are still those problems. So the problems still persisted in the post-68 to 2022 period. What lessons can we learn lastly about the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. as I conclude, and keep time, of course, in the post-2023 period? We have had elections in Kenya and Africa, presidential, gubernatorial, and other elections. We have had questions of cultural reform and to implement the question of inclusion, merit, and affirmative action or positive discrimination. However, we have transition without end. We have reform without end. And now I hope that the debate going on in Kenya that we need further reform would pick up. We need further constitutional reform after 12 years of experiencing the 2010 Constitution. We need to restructure our institutions. We need to restructure the legislature, restructure the executive, restructure the judiciary, so that they are more inclusive, especially in terms of ethnicity, in terms of youth, and in terms of gender, and so that they are more progressive than they have been before. Electoral Commission, the Supreme Court, so that they deliver justice without any bias, apparent, or that justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done. There should be no perception that there is bias in any of these institutions, especially the Electoral Commission and our courts. So we need, of course, therefore, cultural reforms, policy reforms, legislative and administrative reforms, and with that view to actually now implementing them and having consequences for those, especially state officers, who do not implement these reforms. let me stop there. And I know this is a very important debate in Kenya, Africa, and in the world. Thank you so much. And I know some of my students have been listening in here. Thank you. All the best. Current and former. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ben M. Sihanya, that you highlighted how the Martin King Luther has contributed to his country and what would be the lesson learned from your country, also from his school of thought. And he also said that the justice to be done seems to be done. Justice to be done and seems to be done. Yes, it will be there. Otherwise, there is no meaning of the justice. If the justice will be good, given after the 30 years, there is no meaning of that one. I believe that the next key speaker, whether the Professor Lee, are you ready? Professor
Yes,
Lee.
I'm ready.
Yes, before I could start you, let me share this thing. First screen application. Yeah, yes. Where share, right. Yeah, now I could see it. Just a minute, where it is gone. Yeah, Professor Lee is the professor in the University of South Africa, and she is also a adjunct professor in the St. Augustine University of Tanzania, Mwanza, Tanzania, East Africa, and she also an adjunct professor in the University of Asmara, Eritrea, where also I worked for some time, 3 years. Now I will switch on to the Professor Lee Storm to make her deliberations. Yes, karibu sana. Welcome, Professor Lee Storm.
Thank you, Professor Hussain. Yes, it's actually a pleasure to speak immediately after Professor Sihanya, because our presentations do share some similarities in that we both refer to our particular contexts of the countries in which we reside. So I'm going to be focusing quite largely on South Africa, but also focusing on the lessons that Martin Luther King has revealed to us. So I have titled my presentation today that Martin Luther King has taught us all how to be feminists. So I've derived the basis of my presentation from a philosophy on revolution that was first advocated by Martin Luther King in his letter from Birmingham City Jail. In that document, Martin Luther King set out a number of systematic, methodological steps which are used to ensure a constructive revolution. So the first step in this methodological process is to collect the facts in order to determine whether injustices or human rights violations exist. The second methodological step is to then use that information to negotiate for a better situation. Thirdly, what is required is self-purification. And fourthly, possible non-violent direct action to restore justice. So, in my opinion, this methodology arguably reached its zenith in respect of women's rights in early 2017. That was in the aftermath of the inauguration of former President Donald Trump as the President of the United States of America. And that is when the women's marches took place across the world. One of the most striking posters displayed during the Women's March reads, "A woman's place is in the resistance." This is an unambiguous response to a life-denying culture that Trump symbolized through his misogynistic statements. But South Africa is also an example of a life-denying culture. South Africa has one of the highest crime rates in the world, with sexual and gender-based violence reflecting some of the most alarming statistics in the entire world. It is dangerous to be a woman in South Africa. Therefore, inspired by Martin Luther King, it is time for a revolution so that we can restore justice. And so the process of becoming a feminist using Martin Luther King's own methodology involves profound personal transformation, involving both changes in behavior and in consciousness. This is an ongoing process. It requires that we evaluate the bigger picture. In other words, we need to focus on the structural and systemic issues that affect women as a community and in society. It is imperative to think about the intersections between race, class, gender, and sexual orientation in relation to power and privilege. And this assessment then needs to embrace a radical response in order to effect social change. And these processes of trying to effect social change must be premised on common values, those fundamental civil liberties that Martin Luther King made famous. One of the world's foremost feminists, Judith Butler, articulates Martin Luther King's methodology in her book on the politics of protests, where she states that when bodies gather as they do to express their indignation and to enact their plural existence in a public space, they are also making broader demands. In other words, you can read they're negotiating, because they are demanding to be recognized, to be valued, and they are exercising a right to appear, to exercise freedom, and demanding a livable life. Butler makes the important observation that the ultimate goal of any form of resistance, whether it's individual or collective, should be the desire to live a good life, not just for ourselves, but for others. This is the embodiment of a form of self-purification. This is where feminism meets social justice. We cannot be selective about the injustices we rage about. Solidarity is required with respect to all oppressed, persecuted, and marginalized individuals. In fact, as feminists, we have to act to secure the rights of all oppressed, marginalized, and persecuted individuals. Cumulatively, this will make all of us better human beings and will reinforce humanity, which is precisely what Martin Luther King advocated for. Thank you.
It's the end of your speech, Professor Liston. Yes, thank you very much for your expression. Being a woman, you are dare enough to say that being a woman in South Africa is dangerous. So it is a very transparent idea that you have made to us. One should have to shoulder such a situation to go ahead by taking the... Please, Nagbhushna garu, mute. Yes, sir. So now I could see the participants, keynote speakers are there. Dinesh also you present. Even you want to ask question, Nagbhushna garu? Yeah, it is not that much audible. Later you can ask it in the second session. So now you mute it, then we'll give the chance to you after some time. Dinesh, are you ready? Professor
Yes,
Dinesh,
yes.
do you take the turn?
Okay.
Yes, let me show you your introduce you, Dinesh. Yes, because I'm scrolling. Yes, now I will call upon the Professor Dr. Dinesh Babu Gautam, J. Bandalkhan Law College, Bandalkhan University, Lalitpur, India. So you are welcome, Professor Dr. Dinesh Babu, to express your view about the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Karim Sana, you are welcome. Please go ahead.
Okay. Very much, sir. Highly obliged the provide the very good platform. So first of all, I discuss the regarding the Martin Luther King. So one sentence, very important sentence provided by the Martin Luther King. The prosperity of the country depends and not on the advancements of its revenue, nor on the strength of its the fortifications, nor of the beauty of the its public buildings, but it consists in the member of its the cultivated citizens, in its the main of education, enlightenment of character. Here are to be found its the true interest, its chief strength, its real power. So this is a very important statement provided by Turkey. So this is a point regarding the development of the education.
Excuse me,
So
Dinesh. Dinesh, excuse me, interruption. Could you on your video?
okay, sir.
Please on your video.
जी sir, जी. I discussed regarding the justice delay and justice denies. So this concept of the Indian theory regarding the implementation of laws. So the things regarding the view of the Martin Luther's education and other areas also. So point out to the in Indian scenario. So this is the delay justice or denial justice denied. So delay justice or justice denied. So this is the very important issue. The time of as the absence the human life in anything that done of the carried out of the belated manners would likely to defeat the object purpose or similarly. So it justice is not delivered within the reasonable time. It results is the causing further suffering to the aggrieved persons, not only those seeking justice. So it is also that delayed the justice amount to the denial and justice with the against the basic objective of the law. So law protect against the injustice. So this is a very important issue. And the time
Participants, please mute. Nagushna garu.
Hello, sir.
Mute. Please mute. Harun Bawa Allah, mute.
Okay, sir.
okay, sir.
Sir, are you listening? Whether it is audible,
Mute.
sir? Sir, mute over, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Okay, I said okay. Proceed.
Sir. Okay. So, what I am proceeding, sir? You have not told me anything. You have not expressed anything towards my participation.
Sir,
Hello.
I will give the chance to you. Please let the key speaker will speak first. Let the key speaker will speak first. I will give the chance.
Okay, sir.
Mute. Now you mute.
Yes, in the mutual it is there.
Dinesh, continue.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you. Highly obliged, sir. So I discussed the very important issue. So justice delayed or the justice denied. This is the part, also part of the regarding the implementation of the judiciary, the leading judgments or the one things, the very important judgments. So the recent time we are the faced the within the burden, the field of the legal profession and the delay with the flood of the litigations. So now there is the conflict within the society and the family, especially due to the advent of the nuclear family system. The nuclear family system, the present day, the society is leading, heading of the complete is the thereby the matrimonial of the concerning the cases are the MDs of the various courts in the country or the overall world. So, but it is the matter of the gives the concern what that the justice delay, the system suffers from the speedings of the expressions in our country or whole of the world. So this is the justice, rather the judgment delivery system need to be the accelerated, or otherwise the purpose of justice will be furnished. So this is the very important issue. One thing, the Indian judgment, the concept of the development behind the right to speedy trial, protect to miscarriage of justice. So it is a very well that the dilations in lays sent obeys. So means the justice delayed is disgraceful. So disgraceful on the other hand, law is dromate sometimes, but it never the vanishes. So this is the delay justice delivering system is due to the many reasons. So one of the reasons, the Honorable Supreme Court of India say that the very important judgment Hussain Ara Khatun versus State of Bihar. So this leading judgment point out the right to speedy trial. This is a fundamental right. So provide to the litigations or the other persons also. In another things, the very important point regarding justice delay or the justice denied. So the theory of the justice delay, the United States of America is the right to speedy trial. So this is a fundamental right. So as per the Indian scenario, this is also point out the bunch of the judgments the provided by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. So see that the right to speedy trial, this is a fundamental right. The another point, the regarding the justice delay, the judiciary innovated the experience or the apex court also point out to the interpretation of the laws time to time. So this is a very important theory regarding the justice delay. The another view, the regarding the justice denied, the present society or the heading of the complaints, thereby the matrimonials concerned cases or other cases also. So these things, the various types judgments, so provided by the time to time Honorable Judiciary of the International Court of Justice, so International Criminal Court of Justice also. So these things, the very important issue regarding the justice delay or the justice denied, the with related to the review of the Martin Luther King's related to the development of the education or the judicial systems also.
Is it yours, your speech, or sir, professor?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, you have made several quotations also, and you are quoted the Hussain Ara Khatun with the state of Bihar, where the speedy trials should be taken, otherwise it will be justice will not be given to them. Now the next speaker, are you ready? Yes, Anil Kumar Dikshit. Anil Kumar Dikshit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, let me speak about you. Anil Kumar Dikshit is a professor in the Uttaranchal University, which is Dehradun in India. And now I would like to share his, let me check where I kept it. Yeah, quotations, these are the quotations are there. Okay. Yeah, in general that I could say about him, he's a professor at the Faculty of Law, Uttaranchal University, Dehradun. I will request our Professor Anil K. Dixit to express his views on the occasion of the birthday of the Dr. Martin
Greetings
Luther
to
King.
greetings to all of the members who are participating in this. At present time, I am here in Missouri, and due to the climatic disturbances, there is a breach of connection. So I am unable to share my slide in this. I am audible, Professor Hussain. I am
Yes, yes.
audible.
If you can on your video also, if it is
Okay,
permits,
okay.
if the signal permits
No,
it.
because of the connection, वो जो है ना connectivity,
Okay,
it is
okay,
not
okay,
possible.
okay. Now you can continue audio. Continue with the audio.
When we talk about the legend, Doctor,
Proceed.
yes, Martin Luther, the basic thing which he said, that is the rule of law. Because when the rule of law is denied, when this justice is being denied, the justice is being denied everywhere. The darkness is being everywhere. So the basic thing is that the rule of the law. And when we talk about the rule of the law, why the law is being made? The only purpose of making of the law is that the society can run smoothly. And how the society will run smoothly? When all the rights of the person, all the rights of the individual, there should be no discrimination on the basis of race, caste, religion, sex, language, and place of birth, because these are the certain things. Black and white, color हो गया, इस तरह से languages हो गया, place of birth हो गया. So these kind of discriminations, if are being made, so this is against the spirit of the humanity. So the basic purpose of making of the law is that the society can run smoothly. The participation of the person, every person should be given a proper opportunity for the development of not only himself, but the development of the society, but the development of the humanity, development of the nation. And what kind of the development? That development which protects the environment, which protects the dignity. Dignity of whom? Dignity of all the genders, maybe male, maybe female, and even now when we are talking about the third gender. So these are the things. We cannot only recognize Martin Luther that he talked about the racism. Racism is one of the things, but what is behind that racism? Behind that racism is that intention of the humanity which breaches the dignity of the person, which breaches the dignity of the person on the basis of color, which breaches the dignity of the person on the basis of caste, religion. So that is the basic thing, that is the rule of law. And when we talk about the jurisprudence, how that the law will be understood, the law should be interpreted on the ground of the, when we talk about the spirit of the law should be interpreted by the mind. What was the mind which was being working at the time of the making of that legislation? That is the true spirit of the legislation. Because when any of the law is being made, those persons who are making that law, the mind of those persons should be very humble. The law should not be discriminatory. The law should not be made that which protects one of the community and it suppress the other. And here we are not talking only of the humans. We are talking of all the living things. We are talking about the main object, what was in the mind of the King Luther, that the environment, the humans, the animals, everybody has got the right to live and right to live with dignity. every person has got the right to enjoy the natural resources, because the natural resources cannot be claimed by any one of the community, anyone, that they are able to enjoy that resources of the nature, and they should not be allowed to enjoy the resources of the nature, because the nature which is being given, that is a uniform, and the nature which gives, that should be distributed to all of the humanity. This was the thing which I think Martin Luther Jr. has expressed in the whole of his life, protect the humanity. And though, yes, there are many allegations that he was hyper. Being hyper doesn't mean, because today also, if you want to protect yourself, you have to be loud. Because sometimes people say that when you are loud, then only the people hear you who have closed their eyes and ears upon you. So that was the process, that was the working, that was the style of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., that he was loud of the people which was standing behind him for their justice. And Martin Luther was one of the challenging person, that he came forward to protect the right of those peoples who were being deprived. The situation is still today also. Today also, many of the countries, in many of the countries, when you say that the many of the right developed nations, undeveloped nations, there are policies, you just see, today also, you just see the position of what has happened in Nepal. Nepal is using those flights, today the accident has been, those second-hand, they have, many of the developed nation has gave their second-hand flights, planes to Nepal. Those aeroplanes which has been separated away from their flight components, they were being sold to one of the poor country, and this Nepal country is using those flights which were being rejected by those developed countries. And you see, all those 73 persons who died there, they are not the natives of Nepal. 13 members are from other nations. Not only India, but Germany also, Australia also. So this trend that the poor nation, any developed nation compels the poor nation, then this is also against the justice humanity. Because the life of every individual is as important, though he is weak in the sense of financial weak, in the sense of socially weak, it doesn't mean that the developed person or the developed nation should use the resources for their only help. What the Britishers had done during that British period, when they, I think that 1/3 of the part of the universe was the colony of Britain. But they have used the natural resources for their own development. And the rights which was being given to each and individual, they were being sustained. So this is the voice, this was the thing which Dr. Martin Luther raised in a loud manner against those persons who were sitting on the power. And that is the reason that we remember Martin Luther in a very respectful manner. Martin Luther is not being respected in only of these Northern Asian countries, but whole of the world remember Martin Luther, that his work was only for the cause of the real justice to the people, real justice to those people who were being deprived. And that is the reason when we say that the judiciary should be independent. The three wings, the parliament which makes the legislation, the judiciary which interprets the legislation, and the executive which has the right to execute those provisions on the ground level. So at the time of the making of the legislation, all those authorities should be of the mind that the law should be made which gives benefit to each and every individual. And at the time of interpretation of the law, when the court makes any kind of interpretation, then this is the duty of the court to give meaning of that legislation in a beneficial construction. If any of the tool is, no mischiefness should be made, no colorable legislation should be made. When I talk about the mischiefness, when I talk about the colorable legislation, which means that the law and the purpose of the law and the impact of the law should be in a very harmonious manner, so that the harmony of that law should be used for the protection of the each and every person, should be used for the development of each and every person. And the third one, that is the executive. The executive should also apply that law in the same manner as of the spirit of the law which has been legislated. This is the true sense of the rule of law. There should not be the rule of man. There should be the rule of law. And this was, I think, in my opinion, I think that this was the major sense which Dr. King Martin Luther Jr., which gave this, and he fight for the cause of the poor peoples. He gave the whole of his life for the protection of those rights to those people who are being neglected by not only by the society, but by the legislatures, by those courts, by that kind of interpretation and all those things. I am giving thank you, Dr. Hussain sir, for giving me the time to speak in this conference. Thank you.
Yes, Professor Dr. Anil Kumar Dikshit. Anyway, the tight schedule also after the examination, directly you came over here and expressed your opinion and views regarding the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah, now I could see from the participant list the Bello Muhammad Maghazi is there. Are you there, Maghazi?
Yes, I'm there.
Yes, you can on your video. You can on your video. And Professor Bello M. Maghazi is earlier the Kampala International University Kampala campus dean. Later on, he became the International University in Uganda, that is IIU dean. At present, he is the professor of law in the School of Law, American University of Nigeria, Yola State, Nigeria. Now I will request Bello Maghazi to express his views regarding today's occasion. Maghazi, continue. Maghazi, you do one thing. Your video, you off it because your voice is breaking, and you can make your thing with the audio only. You video, you off it. You off the video. And you speak audio only because your voice is breaking. Is it difficult to you, or can I mute it? Can I off it from my side? Let's see. Okay, you continue it. Meanwhile, you continue. Continue it.
Okay, I went on by thanking you for hosting this auspicious event to commemorate of the world's leading figures, that's Martin Luther King Jr. I will also thank the speakers of this international webinar, Professor Sin, Professor Sihanja, Dr. Rao, Professor Stone, and all are gathered here to make this webinar a success. Now, this webinar in this area, to justice everywhere.
There is a break of voice, is there?
You hear me?
Yeah, now continue.
Okay. Martin Luther King's life, Jr., his life struggle was to ensure justice to all. His life to ensure justice to all, fighting injustice in all its ramifications. Now, his struggle against injustice permeates all strata of the American society and even beyond. His struggle to ensure justice was so strong that it resonates throughout the world, especially in societies, communities, and countries. Now, closely related to this, we would like to highlight indirect impact of this struggle for justice in the world, which in Nigeria we can say has solidified in the need to ensure justice in government dealings with citizens, and within the citizens themselves. Now, accordingly, the Constitution as the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended guarantees the right to fair hearing to all persons in Nigeria. Now, Section 36, I quote, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria provides in the determination of civil rights, including any question or determination by or against any government or authority, a court or tribunal established by law and constituted as to secure its neutrality. Now, this is right obligations of a person. What person also is the right for justice, in that time also, the Nigerian Constitution, in line with the theme of this seminar or webinar, provides certain fundamental rights for a person in a criminal trial. This includes, among others, the presumption of innocence for any person standing trial, and the language used must be a language to which he understands, and he has to be given adequate time and facility for his defense, and his defense should be practitioner of his own choice. Closely related to the case of Awolowo versus the Minister of Nigeria, which elucidates the point in terms of defense in criminal trial. And then also closely related to that is the examination of the witness and cross-examination by any person who is in trial for any criminal offense. And of course, to fight injustice, it restricts the course of retrospective trial.
Excuse me, Magazi, wind up. Time is up, wind up.
Okay, sir. Going to that in terms of the theme of this conference. They also look at Section 42 of the Indian Constitution, which of course provides that no person should be discriminated upon.
Yeah, you are welcome to the participants and dignitaries and keynote speakers for my second session on the occasion of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Today is the birthday of him and commemoration of his activities which he has done to the mankind, especially icon of the civil rights, and he made the inequality should not be there, the equality should be prevail over there. So those are the things that he made, and he made several movements, and especially the right to women, right to the black, that made it over there in his say, and that's the reason that he got the Nobel Prize in 1964, if I not be mistaken. Yes, participants, now I will see that because there was a lot of disturbance would be there in the Bello McCarthy's speech, the reason is proper signal was not there, it seems, to give the sense to me. Yes, I could see from the here, yes, still I will be happy that at least one is still present here, and I'm very much happy because first and foremost I have to give the chance to the T. Nagabhushan Garu because he wants to also speak. I told him that I will give the chance to you once the keynote speaker's turn is over. May I know that whether T. Nagabhushan Garu is very much present here or disappeared, because I could not see his name now here. Then because a good of my friend is there, and that name is Professor Mohan Arbolla, and I could see him very patiently, he is listening, and if I could ask him to express certain views regarding the Dr. Martin Luther King, I will call upon the Professor D. Mohan Arbolla. Now he is a principal for the Christo Jyoti College, which is there in the Bangalore. If I made a mistake, please, Bolla, correct me. Karibu sana, you are welcome.
Yeah. Heartiest greetings for all those participants in this international webinar. Professor Hussain, you're right. It is Christo Jyoti College and it's not Christo Jyoti College. However, on this auspicious occasion, I wish to just take a few moments about the theme you have taken. Very, 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 very apt theme has been taken, and wherever injustice done is injustice done globally, and we are expected to take home, say, the lawyers and the academicians and the activists, human rights activists in India. They are expected to integrate both the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy, and there had been such a momentum during 80s, 90s and up to 2000 to a certain extent. Later on, there had been laxity with respect to the implementation and effective implementation of fundamental rights also as part of even public interest litigation. The human rights violations have become common, and states also have been initiating such laws in the form of special GOs, etc. Suppose take for instance, very recently the Andhra Pradesh government released a GO imposing public meetings and processions of all the opposition party members, and that kind of activity must be condemned by all means, and that kind of orders are allowed. And if there is injustice caused to the political parties, at least who will be voicing their views about violation of law and the rule of law will be at stake, and by and large there can be violations widespread, and taking that as an example, many other governments also might initiate to make such laws. However, in India, we have such a situation wherein the Human Rights Act defines human right, which includes all those recognized human rights internationally or globally. In general, though we have international law not treated as enforceable as good as any municipal law, the definition enables the implementation and enforcement of fundamental the human rights besides the fundamental rights that are enshrined in Part 3 of the Constitution. That kind of move globally would make things more and more effective, and public vigilance and activism would make things more sensibly, and that would enable us to ensure that there are human rights in tune with the aspirations that had been visualized by the dreams of those very great luminaries and centurions like Martin Luther King Jr., who had inspired millions and billions all over the world. And we are taking such, trying to emulate the qualities of Martin Luther King, and hope that we would work for such things to forward for a society where, or a country where, or all the globe where we have human rights voiced and enforced effectively. Thank you very much for.
Yes, Mohan Rao Bolla, Professor Christu Jyoti College of Law. No, Christu Jayanti College of Law, Bangalore. I appreciate, but the T. Nagabhushan Garu is very much impressed, but I did not see him. Shall I call him to come and join now? But I saw them, other people also there, because my key speakers, I don't know what is wrong, but anyway, because one is in Turkey now. I don't know whether he's moved to travel or not. Bello Muhammad, yes, I saw your thing. The greetings to all the best wishes from the American University of Nigeria, Professor Dr. Bello M. Magazi, FNIM. Yes, I saw your. Okay, now I want to make it down, but I don't know. Yes, I could see the people, I don't know. Kipengano. Anyone would like to speak at least 3 or 4 to 5 minutes? I will give the chance till the other people will speak. Because I could see the Mongai, Kevin Kiriga, Mariam Thabit. Do you like to speak? Mariam Thabit. Anyone from the participants? I will give the chance. Because still we do have some time, because the session. Anyone can want to speak, please. You can on your video, suppose the signals are weak, you speak only the audio. Max, Ebbi Awar, Francis Kingo, Julius Odol, Kamau Mongai, Kevin Kerigi, Mariam Thabiti. No one want to come forward. Okay, no matter. I am here to take my turn also. I am here to take my turn also here. Okay. No problem. I'm Nasheed. So now let us see. I don't know whether I shared my file or not. Let me check it first. Share this window, Okay. Just a minute. I already started joining. There is no question of joining now. Yeah, share. Yes, now I'm sharing my file so that you could also see that what I'm sharing. Yes, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Just what the theme we are making, and every participant has shown where there is injustice, you should have to make our voice. If not, the justice will be threatened, and it will be no more there. So one should have to raise the voice. Now I will give throw light on the Martin Luther King, what he did. Why do we call Dr. Martin Luther King as a junior? What is the reason? So here I made some survey. In 1934, after King Sr., means father, attended an international Baptist conference in Germany, where he became inspired by the teaching of the 16th century religious thinker, and who is the Martin Luther at the time, and he changed both his names, means he's the senior and his son junior. So he changed both his name, his son junior also. So that is the reason that he got the Martin Luther King Jr. Now I will show you some of the facts about the Martin Luther King Luther, which we did not aware of it perhaps. The king was born into the house of religious and activism, Baptist religion, and King started university at 15 years old only. The university education at the 15 years old, and he was married to Coretta Scott, and he advocated for non-violence activism. It is apart from the Gandhiji also met, of course he met the Gandhiji, and for the non-violence that also impressed him very well, and that is the another impression, non-violent activism that he made. And King led the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott. You know what is this Montgomery boycott? At that time in 1955, when the English, means white people, are traveling the bus, at the time the black should not supposed to sit. He should get up and give the seat to the white man. That is the Montgomery bus boycott. So bus boycott was there. King was arrested 29 times because he made the civil movements so many times, and he was arrested. He was one of the best orators in the modern history, and he speaks very nicely, and he impresses. He's a good articulator. So that is the point which I want to share with you. So who assassinated Martin Luther King and why? See, many people, those are good and noble, they are assassinated. The history shows. Am I right? Anyone can say at least. Okay, now let us come, because John James Earl Ray, that is the 1928, and he lived up to the 1998, and he American fugitive convicted for assassinating the Martin Luther King Jr. at the Lorraine Motel in the Memphis, Tennessee on April 4, 1968. After this, Ray was on the run and was captured in the UK. So it is he who has made the people, those who doesn't like him, because of the movement he started over there, the white and black are equal. That is the movement. Who was on the balcony with the king at the time, and he is the Samuel Kiles, who was standing several feet away. King was leaning over the balcony, railing in front of the room number 306, and was speaking with the Reverend Jesse Jackson. When the shot rang out, King was struck in the face of the 6:00 p.m. in the evening time, roughly this time over by single 3006 bullet, that is the size of the bullet, from a Remington model 760 rifle. That is the where he made it over there. Why a Martin Luther King called doctor? Because he also did from Texas theology doctorate, and he is awarded 5 honorary causa also by the different universities. So that is another. King went on and the PhD from the Boston University, not Texas, Samani, 1955, making him a doctorate of philosophy. What are the 3 important events about the Martin Luther King? Very important. and he was the driving force behind the watershed events such as the Montgomery bus boycott. I told you bus boycott. And the 1963 March on Washington, with the help to bring about that such landmark legislation. He made equal rights should be given irrespective of the color and caste and creed. That is the Civil Rights Act, and he is the one of the activists, and he made the Civil Rights Act to be made, force the government to be made Voting Right Act. At the time, the blacks doesn't have the right to vote, but the Voting Right Act also be made. King was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1964, and he is remembered each year on the Martin Luther King Jr. So many qualities of the Martin Luther King was there, and especially if you happen to see his proverbs, it is very much impressive. I will show some of these proverbs which I collected it here. Yes, Subiri Kidogo, just wait for a minute. Subiri Abutaheri means patience will pay. It will cost. Okay. Now I could show you the things which I want to make. Is it the equality is good or equity is good? And here I have shown equality versus equity. Which one is the good one? Because everyone given the equality, and here in the left hand figure nobody could enjoy. The person especially where the cursor moving, he could not enjoy the scenery because there is a fencing would be there. But equity says if a person is tall, don't give anything. If person is medial, okay, give something. If the person is could not see that what he wants to see is he should be given, the more support would be there. So we will need the equity, not the equality. So that is another want to share with you. Then Martin Luther's best quotations were there, and hence we can say that I have a dream, because generally that in the speech he said, I have a dream that my 4 little children, because he is having blessed with the 4 children, and little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color. They will not be judged by the color, by their skin, but by their content of their character. The character will count. It will say that is the dream that Martin Luther King have, and his dreams mostly and mainly is come true. So that is the theme today is injustice. Anywhere is a threat to the justice everywhere. So if injustice, if you could bear it, if you are without raising your voice, then the injustice will prevail, then the might becomes a right. So that is where he said in that way, the time is always right to do what is right. So generally the people say, beat the iron at the heart when it is hot. So when the time comes, yes, you have to explode it. I am sure that you will win the race. So we are not makers of the history. We are made by history. It is the Martin Luther King Jr. We are not makers of the history. We are made by history. So history makes us, and we have to make the history, rather we can say in another way. So I said to my children, I am going to work and to do everything that I can do. See that you get a good education. I don't ever want you to forget that there are millions of the God's children who will not and cannot get a good education, and I don't want you feeling that you are better than they are. For you will never be what you ought to be until they are what they ought to be. So this is the thing which he wants from them. See, the circumstances should not make you. You create the circumstances to make something. So that is his intention. So faith is taking the first step. If you don't have faith, you cannot do anything. And faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. If you don't see the staircase, at least you can have a faith that, yeah, there would be a certain step. And that is very important. That is, we say, better you be optimistic rather than the pessimistic. Is it clear? The next point I want to make is make a career of your humanity. Commit yourself to the noble struggle for equal rights. You will never make a better person of yourself, a greater nation of your country, and a finer world to live in. If any person wants to make it, if every person would be like that, the country will be the better. So that is the whole idea behind it. So we must accept finite disappointment. Doesn't matter, several times we disappointed. No problem. But never lose infinite hope. There is a hope or infinity, and the disappointments are finite. Better you think a future, because after the dark, definitely there will be a light. It is a universal principle. And hence, don't fear of the dark. One day a light will come. That's why we have the saying, in any day, a dog having its own day. There is another saying is there. A dog has its own day. So it is a turn it will come where it can show its potentiality. Now, shallow understanding from the people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from the people of ill will. See, the ill will man always think in a negative way. If you say the positive thing also, he will receive in the negative way, because his mind setup is a negative way. Develop a good habit of a positive thinking, and that is the more important factor. So for all the forms of the inequality, injustice in health is the most shocking and inhuman. So inequality, where it comes, injustice is there. In health is the most shocking and inhuman. That's why the people says, if health is lost, something is lost. No, if the wealth is lost, something is lost. If the health is lost, something is lost. If the character is lost, everything is lost. I think I read it in a correct manner. I repeat, if wealth is lost, nothing is lost. If health is lost, something is lost. If character is lost, everything is lost. I think I'm right in the sequence now. So lightning makes no sound, definitely, until it strikes. Until it strikes, it never makes the sound. So that is a very important factor. I have a dream that one day, what the dream? One day, little black boys and girls will be holding hands with the little white boys and white girls. That is what actually he wants to make it out. No color. White to the black, black to the white. They have to exchange and make their hands. And that is the desire that he is having. That black to white, white to black. Of course, there is another saying is there. Only a painter can make white to black and black to white. And only a lawyer make white to black and black to white. There is another point. So Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream was a manifestation of the hope that humanity might one day get out of its own way by finding the courage to realize that love and non-violence are not indicators of the weakness. No, they are not the indicators. They are the tools which will make us to lead and lead to the success. That's why they not the indicators of the weakness, but the gifts of the significant strength. That is the approach of the Martin King Luther. Yes, Timothy Machiga is waiting for the lobby. Okay, I will let him. I made him. If you can't fly, then at least run. Of course, if you cannot fly, then run. If you cannot run, then walk. If you cannot walk, then crawl. You know what is crawling? The baby will crawl first before making the toddling steps. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Yes, that is the important factor. You should not be stagnant. If you are stagnant, then the putrid smell will come. If the flow is there, naturally, the growth is there. The flow is there, the growth is there. It is a saying. So injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. That is the thing which I want to share with you. And I would like to see if any other participants are there. They want to make it out. Participants, yes, there are 20 participants are there, including me. Including me, there are 20 participants are there. If anyone want to speak, please, you can unmute. First to say your name, show your identity, then you can speak. I am giving the chance to you. Sir, we did not prepare, need not to prepare. What the other people have spoke, just you assimilate, give the gist of it, it's enough. That is the positive approach of a man instead of a negative approach.
Professor,
Yes, please.
how are you?
It is not the
My name
salutations. I say speak. You introduce yourself, name, identity, and speak.
my name is Leonard Aluko from the University of Nairobi. I am a first-year law student. I'm here courtesy of my professor, Professor Sihenya. But I am delighted to be in your presence. Some of my colleagues are finding an issue with this new technology. We could be more of us inside this meeting. However, the Martin Luther King is someone who has inspired me personally, and I read his speeches, and I see that the rights he fought for are the right of the citizenship, not the right of the Black people, but the right of the citizenship of America. And his speeches, when I sometimes compare them with the speeches of Pericles, when he was addressing the Athenians at the funeral oration. And one of the virtues that he stood for was the virtue of liberty. And he said that his country at that time, Athens, it was not copying other states, but was itself something to be copied for. Because even though the concept of citizenship to them was a bit different to the concept of citizenship at the time of Martin Luther King, that he wanted all citizens. As you have said, that the little white children and the little Black children must hold their hands together. The question is, if Martin Luther was to come back today, will he see that vision? It does not matter that a Black person has become president. Are the little white children holding hands with the Black children? And I think as of now, the answer is no, because under the American system, there are some offenses that are offenses because of color. There are offenses like driving while Black or jogging while Black. That one is an offense in very many neighborhoods in the States. And it's an offense because you see the law, people are legally killed. The law enforcers are killing the Blacks because of their color or smoking a cigarette while Black. So it's a very important day that we remember what Martin Luther King stood for, and we also continue in his fights of making all citizens of all countries equal and in harmony. Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
Yes, I will appreciate the alcohol, Leonard, for your beautiful explanation and approach. And I appreciate at the age of the second year you are now, when you complete it, I am sure that you will become a good spokesman also, a good orator. Because I found that you are having the leadership quality when you started your speech and make the things very clear to us. Yes, anyone other person who wants to express their view, please, you can unmute. And if you are having the Wi-Fi facility, you can use your audio, video also, but you are using only the hotspot or your mobile bundle, please use only the audio. Anyone? Because I could see the many people are here. Even I saw the Murtula Harun Bhavana Allah, and he is from Nigeria. Yes, if anybody you want to speak, you can speak it. Murtala Harun, Dr. Murtala Harun Bhavana Allah from Nigeria. Are you hearing me?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes. Introduce yourself.
My name is Dr. Murtala Haruna Bhavana Allah, public health specialist. I'm highly delighted with this presentation. I'm actually have understood all the goals, and these are challenges which the public health field is concerned about: the mutual respect for human rights, especially the rights of people to healthcare services, especially those on the sub-populations. This struggle actually will lead to the emancipation of most of the sub-populations globally. So I have not much thing to say, but congratulations, wish you the best in this kind of presentations. Subsequent one, inshallah, I will try to present a paper on related topics, which is on public health related to these rights of human rights, inshallah. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, Dr. Mutullah Haruna Bana Allah. The fever
Yes,
comes
sir.
to anybody, irrespective of the color. And hence, a doctor
Sir?
cannot see the color of a person because he sees the disease. He is against the disease, not against the color. So one should be professional and not give importance to the color, and you have to do your duty, what's supposed to be done. Yes, I could see the other people also there, like Chai Shadrach and Angela Hashisoma. Yes, keeping, you are clapping when your friend Aluko Leonard is giving the speech. I saw your icon, clapping icon. You want to speak so that your Alukuno Leonard will clap on your speech. What do you say? I believe that everybody is hearing me. Am I right? Yeah, what you're clapping. No, I saw it. Mere clapping, no. You speak and we will clap. That is the point. Yes, anyone can unmute and read, make the point, because I could not see again our Bagaji, because at the time and his, I don't know, the problem of internet is there and his voice is breaking and you could not hear in a proper way. Yes, Stephen Y. Susan.
I'm still around.
Yes, if you want to speak, you can unmute and speak.
I'm still following. I'm still on track.
Yes, if anybody wants to speak, because there is one speaker would be there and he wants to speak, but I don't know why he did not come. Because the first session that he would like to speak, but the second session I could not see him. Yes, meanwhile, Stonley,
Okay.
do you want to express in your view? Stonley, are you there?
Maybe I should go first. Thank you for this. My name is Kingo Francis Wambua, first year in the University of Nairobi. Like Mr. Luke said, we are here under invitation of Professor Ben Sihanya. The story of human rights, obviously, is a long story, especially in societies like the United States. And Martin Luther King has been a very big inspiration for many of us. I actually didn't know he was this well read, having achieved a PhD in 1955. That was a big achievement. I like listening to his speeches, especially the speech he gave when he was receiving his Nobel Prize. And he was really a very good orator. So personally, I follow his speeches, I listen to his words, and he was actually like a prophet. Everything he said, although yes, some of the items are falling in place slowly by slowly, but his prophecies are coming to truth. So that is what I would say. This is a good forum. I think I would encourage forums like this to celebrate people like this who actually paid the ultimate price to get us to where we are. The fact that such a complicated society like the United States could elect a black president shows that the distance traveled is a significant one. While we are not yet there, like Mr. Luka said, we still have a lot of shootings in the street of black people, but there is some progress. And I would like to look at the glasses half full is supposed to have empty. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen, for your lovely and short and sweet expression and your feelings that you made it. And if anybody wants to speak, I can give the chance to them to speak because still we do have time. And my two speakers, they are missing. I don't know what was the reason for them, but you can fill their gap. I would like to see that you express your views. Now, just now I saw Mr. Nishad Ali Sayed. He's from Saudi Arabia and he joined just now. If you want to say a few words regarding Dr. Martin Luther King, then I can give the chance to you to speak. Not only you, anyone, those who are participants now, including me, there are 22 are there. So anyone can unmute and read, express your opinion regarding the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Yes. Marion Tabiti, your sir has come. Sahanya, I will appreciate that you informed your students to be present over there. At least I can got the chance to hear their voice from the Kenya. They are very much present. They express their views. It shows that the way that you are being taught to the students, it really impresses. We can gauge it. Sahanya, I am very much thankful that you informed the students to present in our today's international webinar. They do have the equipment with them and they can also participate also without fear and favor, and no platform can beat them if they are good in the language, if they're good in the expression and good in the sound also. Yes.
Thank you so much. They are, my current and past students are very, very committed, and you can see how they have contributed. I'm very proud of them.
Yes, that shows to me. Yeah.
Wisdom always flows both ways in our classes.
Very good.
From the Oracle Shrine and back.
Very nice, very nice.
Indeed, Professor, I do subscribe to the feeling that when once they are given an opportunity, they can excel very well. And this right to freedom of speech and expression must be given to them always, and they must be more and more participating. And this kind of platform which encourages them to develop on and deliberate on any subject of their choice, that would refine their career, and they'll be excelling in their career. And all the very best. And I take this opportunity to express my happiest greetings and appreciations to Professor Mohammed for initiating to organize a special webinar at the international level and give opportunity to all the students also to participate so well. And yeah.
Good evening, sir.
And kudos.
Yes, thank you. We always say, this is Sihanya, this is Ben Sihanya. We always say in our classes that wisdom must always flow both ways.
Very good.
Between the Oracle Shrine, the lecturer, and the students, and the back and forth. Thank you.
Very nice, very nice. That's why we say a class should be not like a sermon class, not parochial class, not a preacher class. It should be a participatory class. So that is my generally that I say to my students. Otherwise, there is no thrill. Suppose there should not be a one-way love. One-way love is not a love. Love should be two ways. It is an expressway. It is an expressway. The two ways should be there. So that's I appreciate. Now I sent the message to our Professor T. Nagabhushanam Garu, but I don't know whether he saw it or not. When I call him, he's in another line, because if I do not give the chance to him and he feel that I did not get the chance to speak there, only other people got, still 5 minutes are there. If 5 minutes are there, if anybody wants to speak, you can speak it, because every word of you will be recorded and it will be uploaded in the YouTube. Is it clear?
Good evening, sir.
Yes, please speak. Introduce yourself.
So myself Durga Prasad, I'm from India. I'm studying second year law college at Usmania University. I want to express few words about the Martin Luther King. He was born in 15th January in 1929 at Atlanta. He's a great leader who fight for the black people in America. He raised voice against the white people in America. He followed some principles of the Gandhi principles like Satyagraha and non-violent. These principles the Martin Luther King followed to raise a voice against the white people. His main aim is to become a society equality, and there is no discriminations, color discriminations. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Yes, very thank you. That student from Hyderabad, that is India, and he is from the Usmania University. And I am also the product of the Usmania University. I studied my LLB, LLM, and PhD from the Usmania University, which is now the part of the Telangana state, and Hyderabad. When you say Hyderabad, people should have to remember Hyderabad biryani. A saliva should come into their mouth, if anybody knows. If anybody visited India, please visit the Hyderabad also. If you don't visit the Hyderabad, you did not see the India also. Like, if you visited the India, if you could not see the Taj Mahal, then you did not see anything in India. Because it is one of the wonders of the world. In the 7 old wonders of the world, it is one of the wonders of the world. That is Taj Mahal, which is a distance from morning can go from the Delhi and evening you can be back. It is in Agra. When you go to the Agra, you could see the Taj Mahal. So when you go to the Hyderabad, if you don't eat the biryani, your life is waste. In another way, I'm using the metaphor. So people, those who go to the Hyderabad, they eat the biryani. Once you ate it, I'm sure such biryani you could not get anywhere. This is my open challenge. Yes, at any time it will be closed. Leastone, do you want to bless our students? If you are present, please bless our students.
I am present. I'm not sure what you mean by blessing the students. I think they're already blessed by having very good lecturers who are very encouraging of their patient in their lectures. And I wish them all the very best of luck. And I do think that we need more of these kinds of engagements so that we can share ideas, open our minds to different approaches on important figures in our history who have defined the kind of society that we would like to live in, and that will ensure real, sustainable social justice. I think I could end there then. Professor Hussain, would you like to say the final words?
Yes.
Yeah. Before you say the final words, may I say something briefly? One statement that this is a very important forum, and we have had similar ones before, and we encourage more into the future. I'm speaking mainly from the Kenyan and African perspective. And number 2 is that Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy is still very, very important, as we have all agreed. And lastly is that even though in Kenya and Africa on issues of inclusive justice, we still have fundamental challenges, the tropical night in Kenya and Africa may be very dark, and it is indeed very, very dark.